What I think the Chernobyl incident means to us. One, it was a very bad accident. There is no question about it. It was just tremendously bad. The things that made it so bad were the combination of things. Of course, there was a business about not telling the rest of the world what was going on. But the accident itself was so bad because the design allowed it to become a fiery mess, a fiery thing. The graphite, when it caught on fire, when I say this like I know what I'm talking about, you know I don't know. You know I'm deducing this from what I've read and what I looked at the design. But when the graphite caught on fire, it went way up in the air. And it went up in the air because there was rapidly, because there was such intense heat that anything that you build, you know, if you're at a rally, a football rally on a campus or something, and you keep building a big fire, you know, as that thing roars way up in the air, and any piece of the core, the damaged fuel, there wasn't anything to contain it. There was nothing, because that blew away. And so when that fire started, that other one showing here's where the crane sets. Here is what's called the reactor vault, and I'll have another blow up of that in a minute. Here are where coolant, graphite, and pipes. This distance in here is about 40 feet across. It's like a big cylinder. I've showed you how it can happen. Now, our reactors in the United States are very, very safe today. How do we think they got that way? Well, they came out of the Naval Nuclear Power Program. The Farley plant was based upon a prototype design for the USS Nautilus and subsequent plants. And they wanted it safe because it was going to have to be in a small submarine hull, and there were people going to have to be living around it. And so they wanted to build a safe, simple, high reliable plant. And they went through 2 or 3 mods. They tried and they finally settled down on this general prototype of what the Farley plant is. Did that answer your question? In my opinion, we'd never have a bunch of commercial reactors with no containments built like that around. No way in the world. No way in the world. The scenario I just went through was not, you know, you've got 1,700 tubes. The reliability of those that operate our nuclear power plant, that they're almost like philosophers. They search for truth in what they do daily. We have on-site review committees that criticize, review every single procedure change we have that has any kind of a major significance, that review every little modification we have. We have other review process that reviews everything we do, basically. We have auditors, we have on-site NRC inspectors. We have such an open society and a review process that we continuously search for the truth and search for how things are done safely day in and day out, minute by minute. Now that is the philosophy that our industry and we have. That's a part of how the industry grew up in the U.S. We don't know exactly what they think in Soviet Union. We do know that they've had a number of disastrous nuclear accidents in nuclear submarines and in nuclear plants. Now, we know hardly anything about them. We just hear little rumors. That's not a very good answer, but that's the best I can do. Pictures of airplanes. To answer that question properly, you really asked two questions. You asked how strong is containment, and then you asked what happens if you put a 747 in. Let's answer the first question, how strong it is. The containment at the Farley nuclear plant, which I don't have a picture of here, but the big structure that you saw, that structure is about 175. Boy, that tears our people at the plant up. They say you're not definitive enough. What do you mean that accident? You mean you can never get any radiation out of the plant? No, I don't mean that. I said that's not what I really said in the press interview. What I said is that accident could not happen that way at the Farley nuclear plant. I went on to say afterwards that that accident ever happening in any way is extremely remote. Now that tears my people up because they are in this philosophy of searching for the truth. And when that with that much release could happen at Farley. Now that does not mean that some way we in depth. I have to be careful to give you the facts, not just make a general statement. The term an accident waiting to happen, it is not designed to nearly as strict a design basis accident as ours are. It doesn't appear. It does not appear that they are designed as nearly as closely and as conservative as ours are. And they took a different designer. See, 50 human errors. And, well, see, if you have 50 human errors, you start counting up the problems.
Did that happen here?
Which accident was it?
Cooling tower fire.
You're going to see those cooling towers when you take your site tour today. Those cooling towers are made out of redwood, which is the same thing my deck is made out of, except it's treated. And the cooling towers, I hope, is made a little, I know it's made a lot more. I think it's very safe.
I think that's the whole point.
A test of one version of the U.S. technology and safety at 3 Mile Island. We have a test of it. Not 1 inch of ground has been put out of service. Not one person has been hurt. And I'm sure you've read it, and it is true that the most radiation that anybody got there was no more than if you had 1 puff on a cigarette and you didn't even have, wasn't that much, so if you sat by somebody who smoked a puff, that's how much radiation you got from 3 Mile Island. You didn't get any, virtually none. So it's necessary with the public now to say, look, we have all kinds of things going on. We have risk, this type and this type. Nuclear power does not represent near as big a risk to you as many, many other things that you deal with. Your bathtub, it's a bigger risk for you to climb in your bathtub than it is to live next to Farley nuclear plant. And it is.
But it doesn't risk my children to get in the bathtub.
Oh, don't they get in the bathtub too?
Unit 1 control, please. Jeff Curry, call Unit 1, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in that area. We can condensate drain on levels. Full fan crew. Select number 2. Hey, how you doing out here?
This is, what time was it now? I signed it.
Let me check log.